Hi guys, welcome back to another video where I share everything that I know to help you be your best self. And we're going to talk about something today that I bet you say helps you be your best self, and that is coffee. More specifically, we're going to talk about how much coffee is too much. Now, I went down a very deep rabbit hole last night trying to find the answer to that question. While I was able to find answer from reputable sources I'm going to share with you today, I was also super surprised by something that I want to share with you as well with regards to how much coffee is too much. So let's go ahead and get started. So you might have heard of how coffee is associated with protective factors like against type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's, heart attacks, liver disease, things like that. But is there a tipping point? There is general guidance out there. So I did seek out some information. I went to PubMed, looked at a lot of different peer-reviewed studies, but I also sought out some guidance from two particular doctors that I've talked to you guys about before here. I learned a lot from Dr. Kopetsky, who's a cardiologist and heart health at Mayo Clinic, but also Dr. Hensrud with regards to nutrition and the Mayo Clinic diet. So I have general guidance from those reputable sources, and that guidance is with regards to caffeine and consumption each day. It's about 400 milligrams. So that 400 milligrams a day is for an average healthy adult. I'm not talking about women who might be pregnant or breastfeeding or children, so I'm talking about an adult. One thing you might be able to tell when too much caffeine is too much for you is just based on how you feel. Because we metabolize this very differently from person to person, and for you it might be less than 400. If you have some type of underlying anxiety or other health conditions, because coffee and the caffeine can amp up blood pressure or heart rate, things like that, that you would feel. So definitely listen to your bodies, because maybe even 400 is way too much. So here's what really surprised me, and I'm hoping some of you are going to be willing to help me out with this. Immediately what I did when I saw the 400 milligrams of caffeine is I went and I got my coffee. Now I have a few different canisters, a few different bags. This is just a brand Cameron that I like. Nowhere on any of the labels on any of the coffee that I had did it list how much caffeine was in it. So I went down a deep rabbit hole that I just mentioned, and I went to Starbucks website, Dunkin's website, Folgers website, Cameron's website. I went to a bunch of different grocery stores like H-E-B and Walmart and Kroger, and I looked at a bunch of different labels, but a bunch of different coffee. There's a couple that I could find. Stock, for example, and that's one that I do drink sometimes, a cold brew. I found a serving for 12 ounces had 165 milligrams of coffee. But I'm telling you guys, I could not find this information as far as how much caffeine might you be consuming. So how do you know if you're even close to that 400 milligrams, if you're not experiencing those type of negative effects that we just talked about? How would you know that? And so I'm really curious, any of you that are willing to right now, if you're going to run and grab your canister of coffee or look at the bottle of cold brew that might be in your fridge, if in the comments below you can tell me, does it list it on your label? If so, what's the brand? Maybe how many, is it an 8-ounce serving? Is it 12 ounces? And how many milligrams of caffeine are in your coffee that you might be drinking? Now, I was able to find some general guidance that an 8-ounce cup of coffee has a range typically between 95 milligrams of caffeine and 165. It's a pretty decent difference, right? So anywhere from 95 to 165 milligrams of caffeine. But the reason I was even looking for that is I can easily come on here and say, hey, 400 milligrams of caffeine is considered to be safe, and again, maybe even some health benefits. But what is that? Is that 4 cups of coffee? You know, is it 2? Well, depending on what you drink, it may be 4, it could be 5, it could be 1. So I thought that was a super interesting, super surprising. Again, if you're willing, ask your barista, even come back to the comment section and let me know. I would be curious if any of you are able to do that. If you go through a drive-thru and you order your coffee, and then you ask the barista, by the way, how many milligrams of caffeine is in that? I'm curious if they would have an answer for you. Something that we can experience with regards to coffee, there's lots of good things about it. I definitely kick off my day every day with coffee as well. But there is some guidance about drinking caffeine later in the day, and I want to share with you, just in case you're not sure why, there's something called a half-life. And what that is, so with regards to caffeine, a half-life would tell us how long would it take for half of the amount of that caffeine that we consume to be out of our system. Because we can get ourselves in this really unwelcome cycle. So say you didn't sleep well one night, so the next day you drank a lot more caffeine, or that afternoon slump, maybe that 3 to 4 o'clock, you go get an energy drink, which don't even get me started on those. But something where you have a lot of caffeine maybe in the afternoon. Well, 5 to 6 hours later, half of that caffeine is still in your system. When you're trying to go to bed, you can see where that would be disruptive, and it just creates this cycle that the next morning you're tired, so you drink even more caffeine. And that's what a half-life means, you guys, if you've ever heard that. So the half-life of caffeine is about 5 to 6 hours, where only half of it would have been eliminated out of your system. So caffeine can be a wonderful, fun thing that we enjoy every day in our coffee, but there is a tipping point. So how much coffee might be too much? It is going to be depending on how much caffeine is in your coffee. I'm really hoping a few people would be willing to run and grab their coffee and let me know in the comment section when you find out. So I'm grateful I'm able to find some guidance though. And I do think that if we dig a little deeper, we're going to be able to figure out for each of us and the coffee that we do drink, how much would it take to equal that 400 milligrams of caffeine. So I hope that you found this helpful, and I do hope that maybe it sparks some curiosity in you as well to see what you might be putting in your body, because sometimes we're completely unaware of what we might be consuming. So if content like this is fun, make sure you subscribe to my channel. You might also want to join my VIP list, which is free, where I send content to live a happy and healthy life full of purpose and meaning to your inbox once a month. And you can join us there at bertovip.com. So thanks again for allowing me to share this with you, and I'll see you next time.